What if I told you right now in 2026, some of the most innovative, audacious, world-changing companies being built are happening in places where investors are not looking? What if I told you that the intersection of soil science, artificial intelligence, and climate action is the frontier for future generations and the generations today? Well, on this day, World Environmental Day, we'll be talking agri-tech later in the bulletin. I'm Okim Zenge. Our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai. Good evening and welcome to TV47 Prime. Now, we get right to our conversation that I was whetting your appetite for earlier on as we began the bulletin. Today, we're meeting a very young woman who's building locally made soil analysis technology. Basically, she has hacked together sensors, she's hacked together data science, she's hacked together guts to create a system that's literally changing how farmers understand what's under their feet. Her name is Priscilla Wakarera, the CEO of Rhea, and she's seated right here with me in the studio. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Please just tell us a little bit about yourself. I've already given the titles that you're CEO at Rhea. So tell us something else about yourself that will just help us to know you better.
So I could start with a fun fact. Every time I meet people, they always call me Patricia, but really my name is Priscilla. But it happens all the time though. It happens all the time. So that's actually my favorite fun fact. I'm a soil scientist. I'm a very tech-driven person. I'm also a bubbly person, so I've managed to merge both, and this essentially has driven me to getting into industries that are not traditionally industries that maybe girls my age have gotten into before. But I find fascination in curiosity and discovering things, and my whole life journey has really followed the same path.
I think we'll call you PP. Let's keep it at PP for now.
Yeah.
Patricia, Priscilla. So here's the thing. You are obviously a brilliant lady. And my curiosity is, you could have built anything. You could have built a dating app. You could have built any other, a crypto app or something. But you decided to go soil. What inspired this?
So it's actually inspired by a problem that I faced. In part of the soil science research that we did, we found that smallholder farmers were consistently facing unsustainable yield production. There's been consistent decline in the amount of food that actually hits the market from the farms. And this can be directly correlated to a decline in soil fertility. A lot of farmers, year after year, continuously add fertilizer without determining how much they should be putting. So with time, I found myself working with a group of smallholder farmers, specifically a family in Tunyai, in the Rakanithi County, that had struggled for a long time. But then when we analyzed their soil, we realized that it was severely degraded. By working with these farmers, I tried to find a solution in market that could cater to the challenge of soil analysis. The solutions that we found were located far away from where the farms were. They were taking from 14 days and up to 3 months before farmers could get their results. And even then, this farmer, who could barely afford the soil test, had to pay an agronomist to then interpret those results for them. So I found this to be really frustrating as the process, and I empathized with them. But then also, having tried to do soil testing and seen that it took a long time, I just got so frustrated. I thought, maybe I should solve this. Maybe I can figure out how we can build something that would actually help that particular farmer in Tunyai, but at the same time solve that problem for me, and realize that this was a problem that was affecting farmers across the country. Since we started, we've realized it's actually affecting farmers across Africa. What
did you need to do, and what did you need to use to be able to solve that problem?
We did a lot of reading. A lot of research. We talked to so many people. We needed to build something that was tailored specifically to that ecosystem. So we needed to build something for smallholder farmers. It needed to be cost effective. It needed to be using a low-tech version that can be used by people with limited skills. And at the same time, it needed to be affordable. So looking at what was available in market, they didn't suit this. So the first thing that we did, I actually go back to this story a lot. So our very first soil testing device was a prototype that I built out of the bedroom with just a bunch of wires and very crude code out of my very small laptop, and I would fumble with it every night until one day I took one of the tins from the kitchen and I put soil in and I put the sensors in, and it worked. And I remember moving around and showing it to everyone and telling people, hey, this actually worked. So it was fascinating that it actually worked. So over time we've had to iterate, to work with the farmers to improve that particular technology, to make sure that, one, it has very high accuracy for soil analysis. We've also had to make sure that it's very simple to use, such that if I was to present it to you, you would instantly, within 5 minutes, learn how to use it, and you can actually carry out a soil test. Because with the most sophisticated technologies, simplification of the user experience is key.
You've talked about reading a lot. So there's a lot of research involved before development, yeah? But just tell us, what is the state of agriculture in the country in terms of tech absorption and also data research?
So the state of agriculture currently, it's so we're seeing an improvement in the adoption of technologies. We are currently sitting at a really terrible interval where farmers are consistently having a decline in yield. We're also seeing very dire climatic changes that are leading to droughts and farmers not being able to harvest more. We have so many companies or so many innovators that are bringing technologies to the farmers. The adoption is increasing because we've seen an increase in the number of smartphones that are able to penetrate the villages. We've also seen an increase in connectivity, for example, 2G network in very rural areas. But I feel like currently there's still a bit of a disconnect between how these particular solutions are tailored and the ability for the farmers to utilize them. So one of the key things we've realized is that for a farmer to use something, it needs to be so simple and embedded into their normal life that they can then uptake that technology faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Please join us. If you are watching this, please join us on our WhatsApp number. You can share with us your comments. You can ask questions as well as we carry on this conversation on today's World Environmental Day. We're talking agri-tech and we're trying to understand where the state of agriculture is in our country today. And I'm so curious about the picture. Can you just paint for us the picture of the things on the ground? Like, how much pre-harvest losses are we talking about for our farmers associated to, soil fertility?
So farmers are losing 3.6 million tons of yield every single season. When we translate to the whole of Africa, this translates to over $30 billion in revenue loss. And what's even worse is that we're continuously degrading our soil by 21% every single year.
What?
So if the farmers do not utilize soil data to determine how they use their inputs, it's not only going to be an economical loss now when they're planting, it also has the butterfly effect of affecting future generations, because then they'll be left with land that is no longer arable when 90% of the countries in Africa, their GDP is essentially powered by smallholder farmer agriculture.
Is it true that in Kenya we have only 20% of arable land?
This is actually declining. So we have seen high acidification levels, especially in areas of Western Kenya and in Eastern Kenya as well. Even in previously more fertile areas, we're also seeing acidification that is directly linked to the agricultural practices that farmers are doing. So that's why companies such as ourselves at Rhea, we try to also provide empowerment forums and trainings to farmers on good agricultural practices, while also embedding our village-level soil testing hubs such that the farmers don't have to travel a long distance to determine what type of inputs to buy and utilize, such that the degradation can then be reversed.
Did you grow up in a farm?
No, so I didn't grow up in a farm. I wish I did. Now that I'm on a farm every other week, so I do wish I did. I grew up in a small town, so I'm a small town girl. And I got into agriculture by accident. So I've always, like I mentioned, I've always been curious and I love new technologies. So after I left high school, I really wanted to study biotechnology. So biotechnology essentially it covered advanced technologies in biology, like molecular science and bioinformatics and the spread. And I wanted to tinker with DNA. Mm-hmm. And then I went to JQuat and I realized that a lot of biotechnology is agriculture based. So I wasn't very happy. Because initially, I wasn't very happy initially. It was like, I don't want to go to a farm. I'm not trying to get into agriculture. But I think by the time I got into a lot of the units, I realized that you're not just solving, you're not just doing a job. You're changing lives, and the activities that you do will impact millions of people and will have a ripple effect for generations. And I think that's why I found my purpose. So when I went in to do my master's, I specifically went into soil fertility improvement programs, and I was on a farm for my pilot every other day and working with the farmers every single day. And since then, I just fell in love with the farm, and I'm a farm girl now.
I know, and when you say that, most young people, when they hear agriculture, they think it's for old people, or it's not fun, it's not cool. But what would you say, is there developing interest among the young people to do agriculture or explore how they can add value to agriculture?
So there's developing interest, and a lot of it is tied directly to the technologies for agriculture, so the whole agri-tech space. So we're seeing more data scientists or software engineers, specifically wanting to be software engineers for agriculture. We're also seeing an uptake of different other technologies such as irrigation systems, machine learning models that are all tailored to agriculture or the environment, such as weather observation. And I've seen that this addition of technology into agriculture is what is leading the drive to more young people to want to come in, because most of them are afraid of going to the farm. I think for our parents, we used to be told to become doctors and lawyers, because if you don't work hard, you become a farmer. But nowadays, we're telling people to become farmers, because that's where the future is, and you're the one who's feeding the world with your technologies in whatever way you do that. So even the soil is great now.
Yeah? It's now cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Getting our hands dirty all the time.
And everybody will have to eat.
Yes. Yes.
So we better be providing them with food.
All the time.
If there's a small farmer, a small-scale farmer who's watching us right now, what key soil health practices would you encourage them to be doing?
So the most basic one and the most important one is soil analysis. Knowing about your soil and finding out what the status of your nutrients is the first step in farming. It allows you to determine how much nutrients are left in the soil. They determine what type of crop you should grow. And with the specific crop you should grow, what type of inputs should you use? At what rate and ratio? At what time of application, and how many times and how often? This will help them save on inputs at the time of planting. It will also help them increase their yield and increase their revenue when they sell more, because they're optimizing the yield. After soil testing, there's the actual implementation of the recommendations provided. Like, for example, for our recommendation, there's always an organic matter regimen. This is incorporate your inorganic fertilizer with an organic matter regimen, add biochar into your soil, add manure into your soil, replenish your soil with organic carbon, and this helps the nutrients to be more available over time. We train farmers on composting practices. These are practices that they can do at their farm without having to purchase anything, with just learning how to do it, and then teaching their neighbors how to do it. And then over time, all the farmers are actually utilizing the knowledge that they have and what is available at the farm level to grow their food without having to incur high costs of planting.
Wow, thank you so much, Priscilla, for that insight. So, on this World Environmental Day, what would you want to tell Kenyans?
So this is my favorite day. This and 5th of December, World Soil Health Day. These are my two favorite days, aside from my birthday. So what I would like to tell Kenyans, though, is to take care of the environment. Because when you take care of the environment takes care of you. And in doing so, it's in the small things that you do on a daily basis. When you have waste from your kitchen, can you compost it and put it in your small kitchen garden? When you're purchasing inputs, can you verify that the rate of inputs you're purchasing is the right one, such that when you put it into your soil, it's not being degraded? Strive to plant more trees and advocate for less logging. So if we're able to create an ecosystem that is able to be balanced, then it becomes more productive. We've had predictions this year that there's a potential for El Nino, and that's a really grave concern for us as an agri-tech company, because we work with farmers all the time. Having trees on your farm helps to act as a sponge within your soil, preventing things like flooding, loss of your topsoil, also preventing loss of your harvests. So these are just some of the practices that farmers every day should practice. But sometimes we emphasize them for farmers, and there are a lot of us that live in urban areas think that it's not our responsibility. But with the increase in urbanization, we're losing the soil as a sponge, which means that we're having more runoff for water, which is leading to the floods that we saw recently. So by caring for the environment and in your small space, creating small green ecosystems in your backyard will go a very long way. And also thinking about when you're buying things, is that thing environmentally friendly? So those are just some of the small things that we can contribute to.
Priscilla Wakarera, I cannot thank you enough for this very insightful conversation. We could have gone on and on and on and on, but time has given us So thank you so much for tuning in and also participating in the conversation. We'll keep updating you with whatever you ask and whatever information that we have. Remember, this is World Environmental Day, and we're celebrating that 20% arable land on a decline is quite devastating. So as she said, take care of the environment and it will take care of you. I'm Wakio Mzenge. Our sign language interpreter was Rhoda Nyamai, and for both of us, we say good night.